So let's just go ahead open up Super League with a kind of a quick hitter, kinda, which is Brooklyn won 4-1 versus Fort Lauderdale, playoff contenders going right at each other. Brooklyn, who had not won since December, finally gets their win, and not just a scrappy 1-0 win. It was 4-1 against the playoff rivals. What did y'all think?
I mean, spare a thought for the people who spent most of the spring betting against Brooklyn FC, who wanted to continue that streak and cash in another wager. I mean, it's not me. I'm just saying spare a thought for those people. It
It
definitely
sounded
was me.
very much like a personal experience
For-
right there, I must say.
For whoever might be affected by that.
Whoever might be affected by betting on Fort Lauderdale and their coaster of a logo to get the win.
Coaster of a logo, I will say, just to kind of back up to the Atletico Dallas. Fort Lauderdale does the circular logo very well, and Atletico Dallas does the kind of zagging away from that formula thing very well. I like where this league is going in terms of the variety of branding. Speaking of the match itself, I was heartened to see the performance from Brooklyn. I thought Pantuso and Scarpelli, two of the defenders that have been around in starting matches since week one, did the absolute best you can do against Jasmine Hamid and Shania Gordon. And that really can help them dictate the game. If you can stop that, you can stop what Fort Lauderdale does best. And obviously, it's the second half barrage for Brooklyn that gets them over the line here. But the defensive base and keeping stable within that system, that's been the problem all spring. As we head into May now, it's maybe something that can get them back into the playoff mix.
One thing that Brooklyn did that was nice to see, they've always been fairly reliant on exploiting the wings. I mean, you especially look at a Mackenzie George, who is just all over teams all the time. But in this match, it felt like they were letting her almost lead the charge at times and have her make these just kind of channel splitting runs. Meanwhile, you would have was it Caroline Kelly, I think, was starting up top for them.
Mm-hmm.
And when Kelly would sit in a little bit deeper, kind of hold up the ball, let George go, they were just creating pressure all over the place, splitting the defense through the middle, which they had not done in a long time. While George and the other players who have been out on the wings, I think, like Pluck has been in there as well. Like, they were very much, we're going to go out wide, death by 1,000 crosses. We're just going to try to get through. Teams prepared for that, set up shop in the 18, and they couldn't create anything. Finally, they were able to create something through the middle of the pitch, and they get rewarded for it in a 4-1 win. Clearly, Fort Lauderdale didn't have an answer for it because they haven't done that in 5 months at this point. But it's good to see that they rediscovered how to just use all parts of the pitch finally.
Yeah, and you think about why Brooklyn was so good early in the season. It was players like Mackenzie George making those kind of diagonal runs inside from the wing. We finally saw that work again. For me, I think the other aspect was in the central midfield. Brooklyn has preferred to go just single pivot with Sam Kroger for much of the season. Hope Breslin, kind of one of the number 8s, a line ahead, put in a shift defensively. 3 tackles, 3 clearances, 3 interceptions for Breslin alone. That added a layer of stability, made everyone feel more confident. A big part of the formula in this game.
Any final thoughts on this one? All right. I want to give a quick standings update so people know exactly where we are. We're going to go top to bottom, where Carolina have already secured a playoff position. They are in first. Then Dallas Trinity are right behind them, 6 points behind. Then in third is Tampa Bay Sun on 39 points. Here, welcome to the slog. In fourth on 37 points, we have Spokane Zephyr. And with 37 points, and fifth out of the playoffs, we have Brooklyn FC. At 34 points, we have Fort Lauderdale, who has 2 games in hand over Brooklyn, 1 game in hand over Spokane. And then we have DC Power and Lexington who have been eliminated. Things are tight. And with some games in hand, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how this thing comes down. One thing that a lot of people have been tracking all year long is, when is it going to happen? It has to happen at some point. Somebody has to surely do it. And after what are we at now? 7 months of Super League?
Yeah.
Listro, you have our first ever red card. It's happened. We have a red card in the Super League, and it was not a cheapo, like the last person back and denying a goal scoring opportunity. We're talking boots to the face. We are getting everything worth of our red card. Of course, Tampa Bay ended up winning 1-0, and that's probably the storyline you should be looking at. But we got our first red card.
I will focus on the win because I think the response after the red card was kind of incredible. And against a Dallas Trinity team that is a very good attacking side and as dynamic as anybody, Tampa Bay holds them to 0.8 XG while playing down a woman for 65 minutes plus when you throw in added time. I thought the way they were able to hunker down without being overly negative was incredibly good. Cecily Flo-Nielsen coming in the second half, providing a little bit more hustle, a little bit more energy, as somebody leading the line, but who could apply pressure to the ball and make sure they weren't getting central penetration. Thought that was very good. Even before the red card, the ball movement from Tampa Bay and the way they were able to work pretty vertically, kind of finding Hannah Keene, but then getting the supporting movement from players like Carly Giamona. It was a good mix, and the response post-red card really makes you feel pretty bearish about the way this team is heading.
Yeah, I think the way that they limited Dallas was really impressive. There was maybe a stretch of, I don't know, like 10 or 15 minutes in the second half where Dallas really started to like move through their progression and actually move the ball through the center of the pitch, and that was what generated sort of their most dangerous looks. And it happened for just that period of the game. Like, even having an additional person on the pitch, it only happened for that. And it just felt like Tampa Bay had things pretty well in hand, despite the fact that a very, very good team had an additional player. So yeah, the way they handled the sending off was just very good. And Keene, the finish, like rifled into the roof of the net,
insane
from a narrow angle. It was funny. We actually saw a similar one in the kickers game. I think it was the first goal for Richmond was what ended up being similar. So yeah, I was watching but quite the finish and quite the result for Tampa Bay.
And what's exciting is that this will currently have it set up that these teams would rematch against each other in the semifinals of the playoffs, which I believe is certainly a matchup that I think a lot of us would really like seeing.
Absolutely. One thing on this, and you kind of mentioned this, the ability to hunker down and really just kind of sit and absorb. We kind of didn't see that from Tampa Bay nearly at all this year. They are so interception and pressing focused that seeing them actually kind of sit back and control channels and just kind of clog up space as opposed to jumping passes. It was interesting to see. Hadn't really seen that out of Tampa Bay before. And I'm not saying you want to see more of that out of them because they had the lead. They could just hold on to the lead. But it's good to know that they can do it. Not really something we had seen out of them. It's a fun wrinkle despite it being down a woman.
Yeah, 100%.